Hello folks. So I recorded about half an hour's worth of footage earlier of me getting up to the last stand. Realised that I hadn't recorded any audio at all, so I've cut out a whole load of crap. The aim of this video is to sort of explain what the hell I was doing and get a little bit of fail commentary from my mate Trip, who's also on the line.
Hi guys.
Yeah, there we go. So a little bit of background on this. I had a particularly good run all the way through, set myself up quite nicely, and sort of cut things out before we got to the last stand. So where we are now is just getting prepared to jump off to the last bit. As you can see, I've done relatively well when it comes to systems and crew, which isn't, I think I was well prepared. What we'll shortly find out is that I needed a little bit more energy, so my aim was to move over to the next section, get a little bit more scrap, hunt around for a little while, boost up the things that I needed to, and then get on with the final fights. That's not quite what ends up happening, but we'll just watch for a bit and see how things go forwards. I'm trying to remember exactly what I was saying when I was recording this, because like an idiot I forgot to put the microphone on. But yeah, evade's pretty high, that kind of stuff. Oh, I didn't even notice the achievement last time. Brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, I think at this point you had a good layout. You can see you've got 4 weapon batteries, which is really good. You've got your shields and your engines maxed out. You've got drones, which for this ship is a big deal.
Yeah.
So you are well prepared. I've noticed that you haven't turned off your med bay, for instance, when you're not using it, and you've got your system repair droid on when perhaps you only need that on when you're actually going to be in battle and you're actually taking damage, because you can always put it into clove or you can put it into engines and just reuse that energy when you're not using it.
Sure, yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, I don't do a lot of resource stuff. I tend to try and max out the things I'm going to use most often and then worry about other stuff later on. But that's a very good point, because it's another layer of micromanagement. I think I'm slowly getting used to keeping an eye on both what I'm trying to do on the enemy ship and the crew, but I'm still not very good at it. Another layer of that would be to try and power manage a little bit better, and maybe sort of upgrade 1 or 2 systems ahead of others is something that I was considering.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that you've got like the anti-ship 2 droid, which is quite rare, and it's actually really useful. So I don't know how late in the game you got that, but
I literally got it 2 fights before this recording ended up starting, which was what part of the reason why in this sector you'll see I'm sort of hovering around trying to figure out what I'm going to do. But the main aim here was, I'm just around on 50 scrap. I could do with getting maybe 120 more, boost up a couple of items, then worry about dropping a bit of energy here to turn on an anti-ship thing there. I wasn't quite in the right position to start on the final flagship fight just yet.
Cool.
I think in this fight it went a little bit frustrating, and I think I'm sure you're gonna have some pointers on this one, because this was a little bit daft. But one of the things I tend to do at the beginning, because all of my weapons are slightly different loading speeds, is that heavy laser's pretty good for taking down shields when it hits. By which point the rocket tends to go in when the shields are down, and then burst laser comes in later. That didn't quite work out as well as it has done for the rest of the game for these fights, which was a bit of a shame. I did get an awful lot of misses in this last area.
You took out this ship very, very quickly, so I was very impressed.
It tends to be a good tactic, but I think you'll find in sort of a couple that come up, I get stuck into a position where they've got a set of droids that attack really doesn't work against. I found it very difficult getting any hits in on a couple of ships later on. But like I say, at this point, the main aim was just to try and get as much scrap as possible so that I could upgrade the last few systems, and then sort of move through to get on with the direct fight. So, I mean, like you'll see, this sort of main trying to do as much onto one area as possible. I do tend to go for shields before everything else, just because it makes the burst laser a little bit more effective when going for things like weapons.
I think one of the things I've noticed is that I mean, at this point of the fight, you're okay because the shields are out, but yeah, getting your weapons synced up so they're all in time to take out the shield, because there's no point taking out 2 levels of the shield only for it to go straight back up and your next weapons are ready.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I mean, I think at this point you're sort of fine, but I've noticed, for instance, you haven't even used your cloak once yet. Even at a basic level, that's really good, because the great thing about cloak is it stops your enemies from charging their weapons, which that can give you 5, 10, 15 seconds where you're just not getting hit.
Yeah, sure. No, fair point.
Yeah, but you dispatch this guy really quickly.
Yeah, I mean, all the way through this, I was relatively lucky right at the beginning. So you'll see Thomas and Ekman. I've had them for pretty much the entire game. I got them within the first 4 stars in the first sector. So it's been a crew that's lasted out quite well. You can see that there's a fair few number of captains, or commander levelly upgraded crew members that are looking after stuff. So I was quite chuffed with how well I was sitting here. But yeah,
I mean, one sort of micromanage point that I've just noticed is that you haven't healed your character called Mullet.
Yeah.
I mean, just checking that all the crew are healed up before you jump. That's a really simple thing you can do.
Yeah, normally I think I do. I think I was a little bit too preoccupied at this point trying to figure out whether I could get some more fights in, some more scrap in. I mean, even now you can see, I mean, I've got a lot of scrap, I've got full hull, I'm in a really good position. And I think, if I remember rightly, this is the one where it all goes a little bit Pete Tong.
Yeah, I mean, I actually thought it was a bit of an odd choice because, I would have been jumping towards the flagship, but I guess at this point you weren't aware that, time runs out.
Yeah. Actually, watching this back now, and that's why watching this back is quite good. I've just noticed that there's a big, gigantic counter in the middle of the screen that says, 4 jumps until it's in range, 3 jumps until it's in range, and it's bizarre that when playing the game, I didn't even see that once. I don't remember even clocking it on screen. So yeah, you can. It's quite amazing how you can immerse yourself enough in the middle of the game that you really don't see the really useful peripheral information. That seems to happen a lot. Like even with conversations, like dialogue boxes where some ship is being attacked, and do you want to go and help this station over here or whatever? You tend to sort of miss the really finer detail sometimes.
Yeah, I think with this battle, you sort of see how important it is to get your weapons synced up. I mean, you destroyed it pretty quickly, but the early bit, you're still taking a while to get the shield down.
Yeah.
But otherwise, that was a very good and easy fight. And now you're at the store, where you make some very good purchasing decisions here. At first I was thinking, why is he jumping back? And I realised you're probably going for the store. And here you're going for the FTL drive and the reverse iron field. The reverse iron field is a fantastic idea because, as it says, it protects your ship from iron damage, which in the later battles is going to be vital.
Yeah.
And you make another good choice here where you think, crew members, I've got loads of scrap, why not get them? Because crew members are so valuable. If you get boarded or you just want to throw a couple more people into repairs, it speeds the whole thing up.
Yeah, exactly right.
So yeah, you spend your scrap here, and I think it's good purchasing, and you bought all the missiles, which are going to help you later.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, one of the things that I found with the tactic of going for the shields and things is that I tend to use missiles quite early on to do that. And I find myself running relatively low throughout most of the game. One of the things I tried in the main game before all of this recording was to start accepting people's surrender rather than destroying them, because they do tend to offer you that little bit more fuel or that few more missiles on an attack.
Yeah, if you destroy a ship, you tend to get more scrap and less missiles and fuel. So it kind of depends on what you want to do. And also sometimes early fights, The problem is, oh god, these guys might actually destroy me if I hang around. So sometimes it is just good to take the surrender.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is where I was sitting there going, right, I should probably get a bit more scrap so that I can upload those, just in case I have a really bad fight. That way I can that's when I can start doing some of this power management stuff and see what I can get out of it. Because I was just like, oh, you know what, there's bound to be a lot of breaching when it comes to the big fight. I think I should probably do something about getting O2 to fill up a lot quicker again and being able to heal people up as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I mean, this is another interesting fight, because you look at their weapons. They've got 2 big missile systems, and I think that's a breach bomb they've got as well on the right hand side. So
yes, yeah.
Personally, I would have piled everything into taking out the weapon systems. Oh, and you've got intruders as well. Now, this was interesting because you send your engine man to fight. Now I understand he was the closest guy, but if you look at it, you've got 3 guys there standing around as well. You've got one in the shield room, one in the weapons room, and one in the sensors room. You could have sent those guys, because sending your engine man to fight, you've now dropped your evade by 10%.
Yeah, I didn't even clock that at the time.
But yeah, I think you made the right decision earlier just by piling like 2 people into big systems room to make sure that they get healed up as quickly as possible. But this is the sort of fight, especially with missiles, when you're being attacked by missiles, to actually use the cloak, because if you're cloaked, there's no way missiles going to hit you.
Yeah. No, this is another thing that I tend to do quite often. I sort of prepare breached rooms for when the guys are going to break through, and I think just at the point where I do that breaching and I unpause the game, you'll see that the guys change direction for where they're going to breach, and I don't know whether that's a thing in the game, like they've realised that something's going on or not, but if you watch that bottom left hand room, they stop trying to break that door and in the end go for the other one.
Yeah, see, now your weapons are under attack. It would have been great now to sort of fire your missile on their weapon systems. Because that would have stopped them from firing. Also, it's sort of quite interesting that I think you sent your pilot to get healed as well. Which is another interesting choice, because that's completely taken out your evade ability now. Look, it's 8% evade.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't mind about doing it so much with the pilot is because the piloting system's fully upgraded. You get half evade anyway. So while I knew that the guy was in trouble, I knew that I might take the odd extra hit, but I was still covered by sort of half of that. But then you look at the percentages, and the percentages have dropped down to the floor.
Yeah, I mean, at this point they're screwed. I mean, they've got only 1 missile battery going, and they've got 1 hull left. They're on fire. There you go. So it's okay, because you're right by a repair station, so this fight was okay.
Yeah, there were lots and lots of little mistakes though, which is good for again, for looking back at this and getting some extra commentary, because there were lots of really daft little mistakes in there.
Yeah, and now you're just healing everybody up and getting ready for the next jump.
Yeah. Now, in future, I've watched this back once already, and one of the things I didn't do here, and I will do in future videos, is just to make sure that I cut out some of this crap, because it's very easy just to do a nice little crossfade, and it goes, oh look, everybody's healed now. Because I don't really think this makes for a great video, but it does sort of give you an idea of how I sit there and sort of keep an eye on people.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've seen now from this battle is, if your enemy's got a lot of missiles, it doesn't matter what your shield is. They're going to do massive damage to your hull. And trying to take out those missiles as quickly as possible is really important. And the great thing about having a missile system, which you do, is it completely ignores shield. So, that one thing you could have done is just have your missile system attacking their weapon system. And then still kept your lasers going on their shields, and just try and wear that down. Because if they can't attack you, then it's just an attrition battle between you and them.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a really, really good point. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on it on future games. You know, I mean, because it's, you know, the good thing about this game is that the replayability is through the roof. The fact that I could probably get back to this point if I have a good run again at the beginning in, you know, maybe 45 minutes or an hour, is pretty good all in all. So it's quite a good one for. You know, you've got to lose maybe an hour or an hour and a half where you're waiting around for something. You know, you're cooking dinner. This is the perfect sort of game for jumping in and wasting a bit of time. And I think this is definitely the point where I started going. I should have noticed that counter, because this is where things get considerably worse. I didn't really give myself enough of a buffer to get there and do some fighting beforehand and set the guy back.
Yeah, I mean, one of the interesting things about this battle is that the enemy has a defense drone. Which means that you firing a missile in, you've got very little chance of actually hitting them.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that you haven't actually targeted your missiles yet. So that seems to suggest to me that you were aware of that at the time.
Yeah, I was. I thought, their shields are relatively high. I need to do something to be able to get some good positive hits on their drone system. Yeah. But I think I ended up focusing on that for a little bit too long, rather than realising ahead of time that I wasn't really making enough of an impact. I think if I'd have changed tack now and got like 1 or 2 hits in on that drone control, then I might have been in a better position later on.
I mean, what we're seeing here is the sort of classic the importance of having the burst laser fire first, because the burst laser is going to fire 3 shots, and if they all hit, they're going to take out the shields, and then you get those 2 heavy lasers in, and as you can see, you're all out of sync again, so nothing's actually going to get through.
Yeah. God, it's scary how easy it is to see this kind of stuff afterwards, isn't it? I mean, I think at this point I was about 2 hours in, and I was like, right, come on, this is going to be wicked. I can do this. I can go forward, and sort of had that bit of a, you know, that hero's adrenaline syndrome thing going on. I was like, yeah, no, I can do this. It's no problem at all. Look at, you know. But I was sitting in this fight going, oh yeah, right, this is worrying. This isn't doing what I was hoping. But that's a very good call about the heavy lasers and the burst laser, because I was doing it the other way round. I think you'll find that the 2 heavy lasers are going to try and get the shields, and then the burst laser was being used when it was down to sort of 1-ish.
Yeah, I mean, at this point I would have paused, because you've got 2 systems that are a bit damaged, and you've got people who are standing around not actually fixing anything. So like, you've got the guy in the O2 chamber who could have helped fix the engine room. So, you know, a couple of things there where, you know, whenever I get a big hit, I suddenly pause and go, right, what just happened? And that you know, the pause feature is the most important thing. So you've just done it here. You've just figured out, oh God, I've got to stop. I've got to think about this. And it's actually quite risky at this point, because what you've done is you've moved 2 big systems guys to get healed, you know, which in itself is a bit of a risky move. But then you haven't put replacements into their place. Even putting someone in who's basic, who's got no promotions at this point, would have just helped boost up your evade ability and your weapons recharge.
Yeah.
Because you know, you got a guy in the doors room, you got a guy in the sensors room, you got a guy in the O2 room. They could have been, you know, manning those stations in the absence of the commanders.
Yeah, it was definitely giving me potentially giving me a little bit of an edge. But this is definitely the point where I'm going, right, I'm going to give one more attack on this one little area, and then that's it. I've got to jump, because this is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I think you sort of realised that you weren't going to win this battle, because, you know, they've got full shields now. They've taken, I don't think they've taken any hull damage, only a little bit. Yeah. And your hull is lighting up like a Christmas tree. Yeah. So yeah, at this point you're like, oh God, we get out of here.
Yeah. And again, you'll see, you know, I can see it glaring, smashing me in the face, one jump until it's in range.
Yeah.
And that's it, bang, all of a sudden. And at this point, I'm sitting there going, what the fuck? How? What? Why? What? I don't understand. Why has this happened? This doesn't make any sense to me. I had loads to go. This is ridiculous. And I sort of sat there and sort of cried for a little bit. I didn't rage quit. I was very close to just going, right, I've had enough of this, I can't stand this anymore. I think directly after this is when I decided to stop playing and go and cook myself some dinner, Clean the kitchen a bit, do a bit of a hoover, try and relax. But yeah, very, very frustrating. If I'd have paid attention to that counter, I think that last jump I wouldn't have done, which means I wouldn't have got into that frustrating fight. And I think the first run against the flagship would probably have been relatively successful. I haven't managed to get there yet myself, but apparently there's 3 stages.
Yeah, that's right. There's 3 stages, and each time it changes tact, it changes its weapons layout. I don't know how it does that, but it does. And it's a bit different. But, looking back on it, you actually got a really good score, I think, for the run, considering you didn't actually get to fight the flagship.
Yeah.
It's a learning experience.
That's it, yeah. Well, good advice. Well critiqued, so thank you for coming on and making me feel like an idiot, but making me feel good at the same time. You did that with a good balance.
It's a pleasure.
Depending on how the rest of my runs go, you may see an awful lot more fail commentaries coming up in the future. And with any luck, I'll drag Trip in to do some multiplayer action on other games. Just a brief announcement first. One of the things that I am considering doing is like a joint horror night. Get Trip involved in sitting there watching me play a game of Amnesia, and we can both crap ourselves at the same time. Let me know in the comments whether you think that would be interesting. Just like, comment, and subscribe. The likes are incredibly important. I know by the rules that I can't incentivise you to do it, but if you give me loads and loads of likes, then maybe something will happen in the future. It's always worth a punt. Anyway, folks, thank you for joining me again. Let's hope that in the near future we get to take on that stupid fucking flagship. Cheers, guys. See you later on.
See you guys.